following program is part of the Patriot Broadcasting Project, brought to you by the Scene Projects Podcast Network. Well, welcome into an exciting episode of You're Not Crazy Here. I am your host, Bubba Startz, and with me today is Steve Favis. Steve, welcome to the show.
Hey, Bubba. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, I'm really happy that you reached out. The timing is poignant, I would say, at the very least. We just had Robert Brame on the program very recently. He is obviously a forensic arborist, and he showed us a lot of pictures of woods and forests that should have been burned down that weren't, and a lot of interesting evidence. And I think what we're going to get into today is a little bit more of what's causing these kind of things. So without any further ado, I would like you to you can start with, some of your background, and then we'll just jump right into it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I started programming computers when I was about 6 years old, helping my blind father with programming, basically. My first computer was like an Amiga 1000 in 1984. Then I went to college for game development, and then I started developing some advanced patents that use simulation game engines to train advanced robots, complex things, basically. So I've been programming all my life. I'm really good at it. But I know Robert Brame. I got in touch with him when I found out he was talking about it. But he's right on what's going on. I think he just didn't have the programming background to detect these weapons, basically, these space weapons.
And that's exactly what, our conversation kind of led to. I mean, obviously, he's got this plethora of evidence, his own photographs, and he shared some other ones, especially the recent fires in Los Angeles. And it's just the same thing over and over and over again. These things are exactly the same, but he didn't have a lot of answers as far, we had a big list of, what it could be, but it sounds like you have a lot better idea of exactly what it is and what may be causing, it may be different things for different fires. Is that it's not one thing alone?
I'm convinced it is one thing alone. I mean, what we're doing is we're looking at a gunshot wound when people don't know that guns exist.
That's a great way to put it. That's a great way to put it. You are seeing damage done that you've never seen before. And at least now people are waking up to the fact that, that's not natural. I don't think that's what you're telling me that it is anymore. And with just the complete obliteration of the trust in mainstream media that we've gone through over the last calendar year, people are looking for sources like the Patriot Broadcasting Network, what we're doing here, and guys like you, Steve, that have some answers for us. So why don't you go ahead and kind of explain what it is that you believe and why you believe it?
Well, it's not necessarily what I believe, it's what I know. And my source code is open source. I've been living in California, all my life, and the Paradise fires were really bad. That was probably the worst one. And I was skeptical about directed energy weapons and their damage. But after Maui happened, I said, something's wrong here. People kept on saying directed energy weapons. So what I did was I said, was there anything in the sky? And I'm a programmer, so I could find the resources to track satellite telemetry data. And then what happened was I was hoping I wouldn't find anything. Obviously, we don't want space energy weapons zapping us from space. So I was kind of scared. I was kind of looking at your own wound when you get hurt. I know I have to look, but I don't want to look because I'm scared of what it's going to look like. And it turns out I was hoping it was natural fires, but it turned out that there was 3 satellites above Maui at 3 different fires that happened. So 1 satellite maybe by chance, but 2 satellites, not very probable. 3 satellites and 3 fires at 3 different times. There's too much of a correlation in that situation, basically. So for a fact, open source code, I have the source code to track these things. And I also have the physics and math behind directed energy weapons on my website. So these are happening. It's not what I believe. It's open source. SpaceX is aware of it. They are checking my code. PhD engineers were reviewing my code. It's legit. So it's a fact. It's not whether you believe it or not. It's whether you can accept the facts.
And obviously that's pretty hard for a lot of people, especially in today's age where propaganda and just information is just flooding people's minds and accepting what you know in your heart. And I think that's what's always brought me to, I guess, the truther side, was that like what I'm being told doesn't feel right. And at some point you have to trust your gut when everything can be labeled mis or disinformation or whatever the argument is these days. It sounds like you quite literally cracked the code. You did the digging to find the answers. And now we're able to put these things out here. Obviously, there's got to be backlash against you personally. I know we talked a little bit before we went live that, they're constantly kind of hacking into phones and cameras, and obviously there's very powerful people that are behind these things. How does this even happen?
Yeah. So yeah, I've gotten death threats. I'm a Second Amendment supporter. They've hacked my cloud system. They see gun porn in there, so they know to stay away. Obviously, Second Amendment is great. So it's like the best remote way of telling people to stay away from you. So I've gotten death threats. I also make technology that is to defend America and also to advance robotics. I'm a robotics developer, so they've also been trying to steal my technology for the last 5 or 6 years, which they had like there's a big economic espionage case regarding my patents. But so yeah, they're after me. They're attacking me. But again, Second Amendment, we can say whatever we want, and we can protect ourselves. So
Right. Those first two amendments sure mean a lot these days, don't they?
Oh yeah. Geez, I'm telling you. Without the Second Amendment, I probably would have zapped from space, or maybe somebody would have tried to attack me or whatnot. But
Right. And then they zap you from space and they kind of prove the point, don't they? And that's what's great about your open source code, is that other people who are looking are now able to go in and see this and to spread this information. And that's my role, right? Is that we're taking it out, and I'm not afraid to put my name and face out there, although maybe I should be a little bit, but this is important. This might be the most important thing of our generation, because we see what they're doing in Los Angeles right now. They are just wiping out and clearing the way. I mean, the death tolls have got to be incredible, but you can't find any bodies because people are being literally vaporized in their homes. Is that a fact?
yes, these energies are so high, people aren't burnt. They're basically instantaneously turned to carbon. So they just get, I mean, there's so much energy behind these things. An aluminum wheel can melt in 8 seconds from space. And this is coming from space.
And I'm
So,
a welder. So for 2 years prior to the last year, I was welding aluminum every single day, right? Making aluminum stock trailers. And I've seen how metal reacts, right? And that was the most striking thing to me, is to see these aluminum alloy wheels melted, and not just like melted in place and into a pile, but melted and running down the street. The enormous amount of energy, just like you said, that it takes to do that is what led me to, oh, there's no way. There's no way that this is a forest fire, because I also grew up in the woods and I've been in a forest fire. Now, whether that was natural or not years ago, I think ours was here in South Dakota, but the natural things still do happen. But there's nothing natural about what we're seeing, especially in Los Angeles right now. Obviously, the Palisades fire. I don't know about the other ones. I kind of tuned out, because how much trauma can you take every single day? I mean, these are human beings. These are human beings down there that are getting vaporized off the planet. Their homes, their lives, everything they know is being destroyed by other humans, right? Like, somebody put these satellites in the air. Somebody is pushing the button, and I don't know that you have those answers, but
I do have those answers, actually. I do have those answers. So it was traumatic for me too. Innocent people. These aren't combatives. These are innocent women, children that aren't involved in combat, didn't sign up to be in the military. These innocent people are getting zapped. So I do have the answers on this. After I released my data, within 3 days, Li Shangfu, the top Chinese general in charge of advanced weaponry, was put in prison by Xi Jinping. So what happened was, I thought maybe he was a rogue general doing these attacks. Then after LA happened, his whole entire generals were changed basically. So I know these attacks are coming from Xi Jinping, the CCP leader, basically, and it's not American directed energy weapons. They are CCP directed energy weapons. The counterintelligence that the CCP is putting out is saying, "Oh, it's DARPA, it's America." Air Force, whatever. These are not American weapons attacking Americans. These are CCP satellites. NORAD is tracking every single object in space. And the only attacks are coming from CCP satellites that I've noticed.
We're under attack.
Oh, we're under attack. We've been under attack since COVID started. COVID was a biological weapon.
So when was Paradise? When was the Paradise? I mean, so we've had these directives. Has it always been that?
2018. Paradise was 2018. So this has been going on for a while. I noticed
is this paving the way for an invasion? I mean, is this the advanced force that is wiping out California? Now you've wiped out an island in Hawaii, right? Which is obviously very important for a naval capacity. We've already seen that from, World War II, but this is terrifying. This is even more terrifying than it being American. This is a foreign adversary. Their satellites that are killing Americans. Why is there nothing being done about it?
Well, actually, Trump just released the Iron Dome for America. That executive order was published, I think, on the 27th. So he is doing something about it. I have noticed, I'm still doing the research. I'm literally processing telemetry data as we go. I'm trying to figure out if any of their satellites have been shot down. So I'm literally grabbing every satellite right now, getting the telemetry data, seeing which ones are in orbit and which ones have decayed or went out of orbit. And I want to see if we're plucking these things away right now. Obviously, I don't have the security clearance to ask Space Force that, but I'm going to find out basically.
Yeah, God, you should. You know what I mean? Like, who knows how many, especially with the way that our military has been treated, right? With our DEI initiatives, a lot of smart people have kind of been pushed out, especially with COVID, when they wouldn't accept the jab. So, wow. It all makes so much more sense now, Steve. You just kind of blew my mind wide open. It would make sense why a Chinese virus destroys your military, weakens your population, puts everyone on TikTok, and destroys their brains. It feeds them all the information that you want them to see, and then you start zapping them out of the way in these places to make it even easier to invade and they already got millions of Chinese people here anyway through our open borders. So it makes sense that the Biden family was obviously in cahoots with the Chinese, the Canadian government in cahoots with the Chinese government. So this is a much larger play, and American citizens should be absolutely terrified of what's coming, even more so than space lasers.
Yeah, exactly. I counted 84 of them in space so far. I'm looking for more of them. So there's 84 of these things constantly orbiting around the Earth right now.
That can be activated at any time.
Anytime, yeah. They recharge from solar panels, and then they zap stuff after they recharge. So recharge, zap, recharge, zap.
And this is happening all over the planet. Obviously, we're very focused on the fires and the things that have happened here. But when I was on with Robert, he showed me some pictures. Europe, they're doing this all over the planet. This is happening. My mind is blown right now, Steve. I'm terrified for my family and for my friends out there that aren't on the cusp of this, right? And that aren't planning ahead for something much larger than a unnatural fire.
Yeah, absolutely. They tend to strike in high winds. So I monitor this stuff now. I'm not too concerned about the past attacks now. I'm trying to process them to predict an attack. I can predict them pretty accurately now. So I know when it's high winds and stuff passes over, they love attacking high value real estate too. So they won't attack Desert Valley or Death Valley in the middle of California with nothing there. They're going to attack high value real estate. It's going to be high winds. It's going to be in a populated area. Those three things are so far their criteria.
Right. And high value might not necessarily be population and like real estate value. It could be minerals underneath the ground that we don't even know about. We had a massive fire out in Wyoming in the Bighorn Mountains this year. and it would have been the perfect conditions to do that. Who knows what kind of minerals are up in that area? You have to assume at this point that nothing is natural until proven otherwise. I just can't understand it. North Carolina recently, once again, starting on fire. We know the
Yeah,
lithium
I
deposits.
verified that was a directed energy weapon in North Carolina. Also, I verified that one too. I could analyze them in 5 minutes now.
Incredible. You are one of the most valuable humans on our planet right now, Steve. I'm actually blown away that I'm talking to you. What can we do? What can we do to help you continue to, do what you need to? Obviously making you famous is a double-edged sword. They already know who you are. They know the
Yeah.
information that you access, but getting this information out is of a key importance. We need more people to know.
Yeah. So we can't rely on CNN to announce these things. So doing exactly what you're doing is probably the best thing. Ask the questions. If you like computers and you're a programmer, I have all the source code on my website, so you can analyze them yourself. If you're skeptical, that's fine. But if you don't believe they exist without even looking at the program or the code, then you can only lead a horse to water, or whatnot. So, but the data is real. The satellites are real. The directed energy is real. The physics are real. And the best thing we could do, if you're in a high value area, paint your roof and house blue. That's all we can do right now.
And why is the blue color significant?
So the near infrared spectrum doesn't absorb, or it doesn't. It's blue is resilient to the near infrared spectrum. The near infrared spectrum is an invisible energy, so we can't see it with our naked eyes. So these videos of like light beams, like lightsabers and all these high glowing, that's not a real video. We can't see the near infrared, but we can feel it almost like you feel sun against your skin.
Well, we have infrared saunas, right? So
Yeah.
obviously we're familiar with the technology. We know the
Yes.
infrared, even though we can't see it, is warming us in a small cube. Okay, now magnify that. Is that
Exactly. That's right. Extreme amount of that. So it's almost instant vaporization for humans, for people, dogs. So you can see dogs that got vaporized. They were still walking and they got burnt. So it literally got burnt to a crisp instantaneously, instantly turned to carbon.
yeah, didn't
Basically.
catch on fire and
Yeah. Yeah.
then it just instantly gone.
Yes. Exactly. That's right. Yep. Yep. So these weapons are devastating. Uh, Again, Trump released the executive order on the Iron Dome to protect against literally advanced aerial weapons, which is directed energy weapons. So speaking out about it helps. Talking about it, broadcasting, and also I noticed when I released my initial data on Maui, they slowed down and stopped. But then again, LA popped up again. And, I was terrified. I obviously have a family in California, so I have to watch the skies over my head for my children now.
Well, and exactly the reason that it ramped up is because they knew Trump got elected and their shill was up, right? You've had 12 of the last 16 years of Democrat communist control. I mean, these people that have been in power have been in the back pocket of Xi Jinping. I mean, as far as he's inviting onto American land, ooh, San Francisco looks nice. Well, now we probably have our next target, right? So if you're in Silicon Valley.
Exactly. That's right. That's the problem is somebody in defense knew about this under the Biden administration. There's no way that Space Force can't know about this. So somebody told them to shut up and not talk about it, or do anything and respond to and by blowing these weapons out of the sky. That was Biden admin era. Hopefully, I hope Trump is shooting some of these down or all of them down. I know he's building the Iron Dome, but for the most part, these things should not be in space. They literally have a gun to everybody's head right now. Not only the United States, but America,
everyone,
the world, basically.
The whole world.
Everyone. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Without even knowing it, all of us right now have the entire weight and might of the Chinese Communist Party pointed at their heads. unknowingly, right? Like that's a problem. And everyone needs to at least wake up to that fact that these things are in the air. This is all real. This is happening. It is a foreign adversary to us Americans. We need to be speaking out so it accelerates the process, right? Just Trump signing executive orders and doing that. If there was public outcry and people knew what we were dealing with, I think things would move a lot faster. So a conversation like today is so important. And I'll be flipping this episode around immediately just to get the word out there. I mean, we don't have a huge following us, but just having it out there for others to share and to feel and to educate their family. I mean, if you care about your kids, how could you not want to bring more attention to it?
Yeah, absolutely. We could shoot all these down. We could shoot all 84 or 84 that I found in one day. We have the anti-satellite technology. They need to be in the North Pole and South Pole. Within 48 hours, they could all be down.
Yeah, let's make that happen.
Yes, exactly.
Now, and that's Steve. I'm so glad that we talked today because after talking with Robert, and I see a lot of people that are still trying to, wake people up. And while the information is great, it's what the hell do we do about it? Like, if there's these lasers in space, what can we do, right? And raising our voice, using the information that you have, raising an army of programmers that can do even more than you can. Is this a call to arms for computer programmers and code crack and to get on the computer, to start using your open source and to get in there? And maybe there's more than 84. You said that was one day. So there could possibly be more as well. Or
I'm searching through them now. I'm hoping they clandestinely blew up some of them. So I'm evaluating them now. But like I said, this problem can be solved in 48 hours. We never have to deal with another fire from these things. 48 hours, 2 days. They pass over the North and South Pole. 2 days. Who cares about the missiles, the cost of the missiles or the anti-satellite weapons? There's only 84 of them. We have enough.
The cost of not doing it is life and the life of hundreds of millions of people.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay, so a call to arms for all of our computer programmer friends that are going to see this. Steve Favis needs your help. Steve, where can we find more information and where can programmers get a hold of you? Obviously without putting your personal information out there, but how do we raise this army to do what's necessary to save our lives?
Yeah, so the program is open source on my website. I also run a podcast too. The podcast URL, you can post it later on, but it's MISTER is in MrRobots.com. And if you look at /lasers, you can see the physics. If you're skeptical about the physics is there basically. That shows you that the physics exists. The program is not very hard to run. You just need an orbital propagation software called MathWorks MATLAB. It's a very accurate orbital propagator. The source code is only maybe 25 or 30 lines. It's not very much. And I've already isolated the telemetry data from the website space-track.org, which is ran by NORAD. Don't trust any other telemetry data except NORAD data because there is satellite counterintelligence from China out there. So only trust NORAD data. Yes, yeah. Right. Only trust NORAD data.
Well, and the Chinese government has had a lot more control over our information, over our, just everything for so long that this is an eye-opening for me. And I consider myself to be fairly well informed. But this was the conversation I've been waiting to have because we need the public to know the truth. And you have delivered that to us today. We'll be blasting out the website. We'll be getting this episode turned around as fast as possible and out there on Rumble. I'll put it on YouTube. They'll probably take it down right away once they see your name attached to it. But this has been incredible. What is what's the number one thing that we can all do to help today?
Yeah, spread the word. Contact your senators. Contact your legislatures. It's okay to send Trump a postal mail. I think paper gets more attention than an email or whatever. Like I said, these could be down in 2 days. They need like 40 anti-satellite weapons on the North Pole, 40 anti-satellite weapons on the South Pole. 2 days, they all be gone.
Well, I hope that they take your advice. I hope that our listeners and everyone who hears this today puts some pen to pad, writes a letter to their senators, writes a letter to President Trump, and to tell him we want these satellites down now. An Iron Dome is not good enough. We don't ever have to deal with these things again. And if they put more up there, well, we'll shoot those out too.
Exactly.
I think it's important for us to realize we are at war. These are an act of war. Obviously, it's been going on for a long time. It's been going on right under our noses, right above our heads, quite literally. And it's time for this to stop. We cannot allow more of our brothers and sisters to be vaporized off the planet by a foreign adversary. This is insane.
Children, too.
Children
are getting vaporized.
Breaks my heart. And that I'm not even worried about the people who are going to counter any of our argument. We know what the truth is. We're going to keep pushing forward with this. And the people that believe it and feel it in their heart that this is the truth, then they are going to be the ones who change this, not someone who is too ignorant or too caught up in some narrative to open their own eyes and that are more than happy to watch their brothers and sisters get vaporized. I mean, it's just, we can't do it anymore. Steve, I'm so blessed to have had you on the show today. I really appreciate you. Go ahead and plug the podcast and your website one more time before I let you go.
Yeah, my podcast where all the directed energy weapon stuff is at Mr. MISTER Robots, not MR, MISTER Robots.com. And my resume, my professional engineering and computer science background is on my website. So you can see I'm an extraordinarily good programmer. That is at Steve, STEVE. My last name is pronounced Favis.
Oh, sorry, bud.
It's okay. No problem. FAVIS. So it's STEVEFAVIS.com. So you can see my background. I'm a good programmer. My data is legit. I stand behind it.
Well, and you're right here in front of me, Steve. I see you, right? I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear the gravity in your voice. And I think that's what's been so important is that a lot of the people that are out there trying to, wake people up sound crazy, right? And why wouldn't they? If they, knowing what we know, how do you not sound a little crazy when you're talking, but your delivery, you're a very cool, collected man. Your resume is going to speak for itself when people find you, and you have all the data to back it up. Just go do your own research and actually do some research. Don't go find a Reuters article. Who cares what liars say?
Absolutely. Exactly. Why get caught in a debate with a liar?
Yeah, I just don't. If you're throwing Wall Street Journal and Reuters articles in my comments, I already know that you have never seen a bit of truth in your life. So, Steve Favis, thanks for being on the program today. And I'm just, my mind is blown right now.
Yeah, it's terrible. I mean, I have kids, and I'm doing the best I can to defend them. I'm trying to make sure when it's windy that we don't get zapped. I tell them to stay indoors when these things are passing over. I think at least until they're shot down, everybody should be able to track these things, and so I'm building software to make sure we can track these things, and people who are mindful of them can actually look them up. So I'm working on that right now. I'm literally I'm processing some data. So that's good.
Well, sounds like you got some more work to do, Steve.
Yeah,
I appreciate
yep.
everything that you've been working on all these years. And thank you for your service to humankind and especially to us here in the United States. I appreciate you, and God bless.
Yeah. God bless you too, man. Thanks for having me. What you're doing is equally important as what I'm doing. So.
Thanks for tuning in to the Scene Projects Podcast Network. We appreciate you listening. You can find more at thesceneprojects.com. Join our community. Got an ocean full of love that's made for two. We can sail upon the ocean breeze and sunshine feels like you loving me. We got a good thing going on, you know that's true. I'm feeling fine, fine, fine. Boy, you love on me like wine. Fill me up, let me The following program is part of the Patriot Broadcasting Project, brought to you by the Scene Projects Podcast Network.